So on to Twitter finally. I
All
tried
right.
to rant about Crocodile.
What else were we gonna do, really?
At Jen's Fallen asks, MOBA and RTS games are dumb. Well, when will the glorious competitive FPS make a return? What game will be responsible for that?
None that exists right
Quake,
now.
It will
Quake 5, if it doesn't suck, but probably nothing.
Nothing.
And that's just, we got to deal with it.
Yeah,
I think we're probably at the point.
$250,000 Counter-Strike tournament's big. That's good.
that is.
I'll take
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I think CS:GO definitely is. If I was to name the most competitive FPS right now, I think that would be it. But I think we'll probably keep seeing smaller games that like maybe have a small competitive scene, kind of like Tribes actually. Like Tribes was very competitive when it came out, and the scene was pretty small. But if you enjoyed it, if you wanted to play it, like there were competitive games to be had. I just don't think we're gonna. I don't know that we're gonna see a competitive FPS on like a massive scale like we used to.
What about Titanfall?
Nope.
No.
They have no plans for. They don't have like they're not implementing competitive stuff into that game.
Okay.
If you
They're not
if you do
they're
not
not
allow
focusing
people
on
to mod your
esports.
game will not be competitive. You
I'm
have
with
to
you
allow
there.
people to mod it. You have to.
Yeah.
I
Or
think
it's
the
not going
biggest
to last.
problem with FPS in a competitive scene right now is that we had a solid like 15 years
Yeah, no.
of good
it's the end
competitive
of-
FPS scene,
it's the end
and
of
then
an era.
something new comes along, and it gets people's interest. So what FPS is struggling with right now is looking interesting, and it's fucking difficult to look interesting when we've seen every FPS you could possibly imagine in the past 15 years.
Also, I will say this as well. The reason I think, well, StarCraft 2 is kind of an anomaly, although it has lots of dollars behind it, obviously, with Blizzard. I love watching StarCraft 2 as well. But with MOBAs, it's that anyone can hop in and play that game. And so that's why, to me, things like League and Dota get so many viewers, is because you can just go get this game and you can play it.
For
and you can
free.
play it. Now, we've already gone over how abusive the communities can be, and like there's a very high skill cap, obviously, with professionals. But you can just sit down and play this game with friends and have some fun. Like, you can.
It's-
And
Yeah.
anyone
CG
can
chat
do it.
height
Ever, though.
0.
It's-
Done.
It's accessibility. You play the same game that the pros play, right? So when you go into League, sure, are you as good? No, but you play the same exact game. And when it comes to like, especially the competitive shooter scene, even in Counter-Strike or whatever, like you're not when you're in a pub, it's a different experience.
It's a
than if you're
different
playing
game.
It's totally a different game. It's not even the
what's,
same.
What's crazy with FPS...
And
You know,
that's an issue.
competitive MM has helped that a lot. Like, competitive
Yeah.
matchmaking is a great addition.
Oh, that's
to
true.
that
No,
game.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
bridging the gap.
But it might
Yeah.
be a little late.
But even think
we don't know.
even think about this, like when you played Source, like even going from just Source pubbing, even if you had your own clan server, going from that to even Cal O was like
Dude,
a
oh,
whole
totally.
different
It's
experience.
totally
Just
different
getting in a
experience.
match is like
I remember the first
not
time
the
I
same
ever like tried out for a Cal O team after having pubbed Source, and it was like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
these guys are serious. Like,
Yeah, it's
this is no
crazy.
joke.
And
Oh,
I
what?
think
You're
that's-
using a P90? You fucking idiot! What are you doing?
I think
you
that,
don't
that's
spend
actually a really good point. Is that in most, if not all, FPS games, you're never, if you're just playing in a public setting, you're never playing the same game as the competitive people are playing.
Exactly.
yeah.
Because like if you're playing in a 20-person server, but competitive is like normally 6v6, and that's the accepted standard. Your 20-person pub does not even come close to approximating that 6v6 gameplay or 5v5 or whatever.
Well, it's like going from when I first tried Pro Mod, I was like, this isn't even COD 4.
Yeah.
This is some other thing. Like, this isn't even the same game whatsoever. And like, so I think that's definitely a part of it. I think that's the biggest part of it, honestly, is accessibility.
Red Baron makes a point. He's talking about how like 60 plus champs are used in Riot Worlds, and that you have AK, M4, AWP, and the P90 are all you see in CS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was making the point that it's not that different though. But I mean, yeah,
There's a
it's-
lack of
it's-
variety.
There is a
Right.
lack of variety, so I get that, but it's still the same game. So like, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing, and I mean, I think that's the reason that StarCraft as well, right? That's another game that you
You can
play
sit down and play, but
and
I feel
and
like
you won't be as
that-
good as a pro, but you can watch and then you can understand and watch.
when
a
you
pro
play
level, be like,
1v1
these guys are
against
so
someone
good.
else, you're playing with essentially the exact same rule
Yes,
set
exactly.
and the same
Yeah.
the stakes aren't as high, but you're
Yeah.
playing the same exact game as the people that play on stage, to win
Yeah.
Well,
tournaments.
it's specifically in StarCraft, you have the same opportunity as every single other person in the world to be in the same bracket as a pro player. Like you can work your way up to the same division as a pro player.
Yep.
Like anyone could do that. It's not like pro players are in their own matchmaking playlist or something like that. It's like everybody's in the same pool pretty much.
I mean, and not to like harp on the con thing, but that's the FPS. That's the FPS competitive community. The snottiness of it too has shot itself in the foot so many times. Because like with Call of Duty, even like they wanted like all the pro players wanted to cater to certain rules and stuff like that. But like even Vonderhaar and stuff when he was trying with the esports stuff with Black Ops 2, he's like, you have to make they have to play the same game like that you play in a Call of Duty pub, like because people want like it's the same thing. Like people want to know that hey, I'm playing what the pros are playing, and it's easily transferable and understandable. Whereas like you said, with all these other shooters in the past, whether it's fucking Counter-Strike, fucking even TF2 and stuff like that, like it's just not the same game. And
the thing is, when you have changes between what a public player does and a competitive player, it's if there's differences, someone that's like, oh, competitive play sounds interesting. Now I have to go learn this whole nother rule set, all these new game types, all these new map changes. If it's the same thing, the person goes, I'm playing pub matches. I'm interested in competitive play. I play competitive, and that's it. That's how it goes.
That's one of the biggest things in MOBAs. If you get good at a MOBA, you are automatically good at being. And
the transition is just
there is
automatic.
no transition.
Yep. Totally.
There is, but it's a lot less than it's going to be in a shooter. There's also the fact that League changes for a game fairly rapidly. They're having new champs added all the time. They have balance patches that come out, and of course, the players who play competitive have to acquiesce to that. They have to adjust to that. Go to a competitive TF2, they will not change for anything. They don't want fucking nothing changed ever, and it's stagnant.
That's not true. Took a lot of changes this season, like the escape plan causing mini crits.
There is that, and but that's something that Valve forced on them because they took an item fix that everybody's using already. The quick fix was a big thing. Like people were resisting the quick fix change hard. They wanted to keep the quick fix banned. Well, I'm sorry, they wanted to ban the quick fix.
It's banned next season, but they played with it this season.
Because
it was really bad.
To say what game will be responsible for it, I actually really think if Valve decides to make CS:GO fully free to play, I think CS:GO could be responsible for like FPS revolution.
It's a fantastic game. It is a great game.
It's really fun to watch too. I think
super easy and there's nobody who doesn't understand it.
We didn't report this, but John mentioned it earlier. They did the same sort of like pot money raising that Dota 2 did. Yeah, that the International did, and had a $250,000 tournament for CS:GO due to crowdsourcing. So obviously there's some interest there. It just needs the backing as well. And Call of Duty, I'm sorry, it's just they may throw millions of dollars behind that shit, but it's just not there, and I don't think it ever is going to be. I just don't. I don't see it.
It might be on console. It might be on console, but that's never going to. Like, I don't think anyone's going to call Call of Duty, glorious competitive FPS. That's not what it is.
Also, the way those pros have acted this year has not been.
I also think it's hard to think of PC shooters as competitive in North America. I feel like in the European scene, PC shooters are way more more popular. Competitive PC shooters are more popular in Europe than they are here because we're starting to go towards the whole MOBA strategy thing.
Yeah. So
I think my prediction for the next big FPS, it's probably going to be, if it's going to be on PC, it's going to be free to play. Yeah. I don't see it any other way.
Extraction.
That game has potential.
It has potential.
If they implement competitive stuff into it.
See, I don't like. I'm looking forward to Extraction, and I'm really excited to play it. But there's not going to be a game on the Unreal Engine.
It's going to be a niche game, I think. Extraction, I don't think is going to be a huge mass market game. CS already has essentially it's the most mass market I think a PC shooter can get at this point. So I think it's a pretty easy transition for them to go free to play. But I agree, it also just comes down to there really haven't been a ton of options when it comes to free to play competitive FPS. And that's what's driving all the growth for MOBA and RTS games, is that at this point they're all going free to play so that you can try it if you watch it or whatever, you decide you like it. There's no barrier to entry to give it a shot.
Yeah, and I think too. Yeah, sorry. Good.
Retweet if you remember Blacklight Retribution esports options.
God damn it. All right.
Well, I was gonna say one more thing
Go
too. Back to Nick's point about like people being tired, and the other thing too is with MOBAs like Dota and even with League, like it kind of like it makes you not, you have to invest so much time to become decent so you're not flamed, and so that like you at least know the basics of the game, that once you invest that much time, these games grab you like none others. Like, dude, how long was it that I played Counter-Strike Source for? That was my only game for how many years? Like 10 years?
Yeah.
And then
I played
League.
You played it really poorly.
That's cute, John. And then and then I played League, and it was like the first game where it was like it's the same thing where it's like this is the only thing I want to play now. So I feel like that's the other thing too, is that the formula for these MOBAs are so goddamn are so addictive that it's going to be very hard to break that cycle if more people keep getting involved.
And they make the switching costs really high. If you have every champion unlocked in League of Legends, you're going to want to keep playing League of Legends.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like then it becomes a time sink too. It's like I don't want to play Dota because I've spent so much time on League. It's like I'm going to have to relearn everything. So anyway.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily true, but
I know it's not true, but
all right.
okay.
Next
you'll have to learn
question.
more. You don't want to relearn.
That was a good question.
That was a really good
that
question.
was Jesus.
Yeah. And that say in chat, the question was too good, not funny enough. 3 out of 10.